Imagine this for a second. Your match of Marvel Rivals begins. You get out of spawn and rush the site to set up your defenses. The enemy team gets out of spawn and rushes the site to destroy your defenses. And when both teams are faced to each other, that's basically where the match begins. Everybody positions, everybody starts aiming, but before they even finish aiming, a silver blur across the battlefield. One enemy, before their teammates even realize what happened. Two enemies. Someone finally turns around trying to track the silver blur. Three enemies. And to everyone else in the match, the fight has barely started. That's Quicksilver. Not just a fast character, but a character who experiences the entire battlefield at a completely different speed. And today I want to design how someone like that could actually work inside Marvel Rivals without completely breaking the game. But before we get into the abilities themselves, we need to talk about Pietro.
Pietro, thank God you're safe.
Pietro Maximoff is one of the fastest mutants in Marvel history, but what makes him interesting isn't just the speed, it's what the speed does to him. Imagine thinking faster than everyone around you, reacting instantly while everybody else needs time to process what happened. Trying to hold a conversation while waiting for someone to finish a sentence that your brain already understood seconds ago. In many comics, Quicksilver actually describes life like this. To him, the world feels like it's permanently stuck in slow motion. And when the entire world feels slow, you start getting impatient. That's why he often comes across as arrogant.
Too slow, what a surprise.
Why he's constantly frustrated, and why he always feels like everyone else needs to hurry up, which makes him incredibly fun to design and incredibly difficult to balance, because speedsters in multiplayer games almost always break things. If they're truly fast, they become impossible to hit. But if you slow them down too much, they stop feeling like speedsters. So the goal for this concept was simple. Quicksilver should feel unstoppable in short bursts, moments where he completely controls the pace of a fight. But outside of those moments, he's vulnerable. And the mechanic that creates that balance is his passive ability. Momentum. Quicksilver builds momentum the more he moves. Running, repositioning, shining abilities, everything builds momentum. But the moment he slows down, that momentum begins to drain, which creates a simple rule for the player. If you stop moving, you're playing Quicksilver wrong. At high momentum, his attacks become faster and slightly more disruptive, meaning the best Quicksilver players won't just run fast, they'll move constantly, always rotating, always repositioning, always staying unpredictable.
You didn't see that coming?
Now let's talk about how he actually fights. Quicksilver doesn't rely on weapons. His primary attack is called Velocity Strikes, a rapid flurry of punches and kicks delivered faster than the enemies can properly track. The combo builds quickly, 2 fast strikes, followed by a third hit that releases a small kinetic burst, pushing enemies slightly backward. The damage itself isn't overwhelming, but the speed and pressure force enemies to constantly adjust their aim. Next, we have his first ability, Vector Dash. Quicksilver instantly bursts forward in the chosen direction. The ability has 2 charges. Passing through enemies briefly disrupts their aim, making it harder for them to track targets, which allows skilled players to stay extremely unpredictable. Then we have Slipstream. For 1 second, Quicksilver accelerates beyond what enemies can realistically track. He gains a huge burst of speed and takes reduced damage while moving. But there's the catch. He cannot attack during Slipstream. This ability is purely about survival and repositioning. It's the moment where Quicksilver becomes almost impossible to catch, but only briefly. Next comes Overdrive. This is where the movement skill ceiling really opens up. Quicksilver pushes his body past safe limits and enters 4 seconds of extreme speed. During Overdrive, he can run along walls, drift around corners, and reposition across the map faster than any other hero, just like Lucio does in Overwatch. But again, there's a trade-off. He cannot attack while Overdrive is active. This turns the ability into a pure movement tool. Players will use it to escape danger or return to fights incredibly quickly after respawning. But the real fantasy of Quicksilver isn't just speed. It's what happens when he pushes that speed past its limit, and that's where his ultimate ability comes in. Limit Break. Quicksilver accelerates so fast that the battlefield almost freezes. For 3 seconds, enemies move dramatically slower. During that window, the player must run through enemies to mark them. Each marked enemy becomes a target. Then, when time snaps back to normal, Quicksilver instantly strikes every marked enemy in rapid succession. The more enemies you manage to tag during those 3 seconds, the stronger the final burst becomes. But there is a risk. After the ultimate ends, Quicksilver becomes briefly fatigued, exhausted. His speed drops, his abilities are locked, meaning if you dive deep into the enemy team, well, you might not make it out alive. But before we end the concept, let's talk about how you would actually play him. Because Quicksilver isn't about raw damage, he's about controlling tempo. A typical combo might look something like this. First, build momentum by constantly moving around the battlefield. This ensures your abilities are at maximum effectiveness. Then, use Vector Dash to enter the fight and disrupt enemy aim. Follow it with Velocity Strikes to apply pressures while enemies struggle to track your movement. If the enemy team starts focusing you, activate Slipstream to escape damage and reposition safely. From there, use Overdrive to rotate across the map and set up your next attack from an unexpected angle. That's Quicksilver. A hero who doesn't just move fast, but a hero who forces the entire battlefield to play at his pace. Because he's not about raw power, he's about momentum.
Pietro?
Hey sis, you look like you could use a hand.
And here is the design. Of course, I couldn't do any other way except using the iconic blue and white suit. However, well, just like I said in the last video, Marvel Rivals has really a thing for details. So I had to add things. I had to add new ideas, something I could come up with in order to make it more logical to the game. And I came up with the idea of giving him patterns that resembles the speed symbol. I think that at least he's still recognizable and looks less laughable next to his peers. But now I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments what you think about this design. What would you add, change or remove in this kit? And don't forget to vote for the next hero. Thank you to all. This has been truly amazing. The love and support on the last video was almost overwhelming, and I loved every single second of it. This won't be possible without you, so I wanted to give you guys a quick thank you for sticking around. Anyways, this was Bazillion. See ya.